And I'm going to say it. It's a crazy thing, but it's a victim mentality.
Right now, yeah.
No,
I am my circumstances, I am my situations, versus I am my choices and I am my character.
Welcome to the best hour of their day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez.
And me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
As both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates.
and coaches by building
Better
boxes.
boxes. Welcome to
The best hour of your day.
We've got Taylor, we've got Nick, Redemption Road Fitness,
Yep.
and you're now part of the Phoenix.
I am. I'm a volunteer manager for Colorado Springs.
All right, but I met both of you guys in prison.
Yes.
Let's talk about. I'm really excited to chat with you guys.
Thank you.
I literally, when I met you, you were full-fledged, like in prison.
Yeah.
I probably met you in prison, but you were out.
I was out, yeah. So I had just got out.
That was what, a few years ago now?
Yeah, I've been out for 2.5 years.
So let's talk about this big picture. There's so much I want to chat with you guys about, but one, if you do CrossFit in prison, you're not going back.
No, 100%
So
you're not.
that's a big takeaway that I want to go into on this. So how long have you been out now?
2.5. I got out May 10th of 2022.
You've been almost a year and a half now?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, about
I
almost a
haven't
year and a
seen
half
you
now.
since
Yeah.
you're level 1.
I know,
just
that's crazy.
Chat with you all the time, and
Yeah.
you're not far from me. But has anybody gone back to prison after getting out?
No, so here's the deal.
It depends on the, so there's different levels in our program, right? We have like a participant level, which we don't necessarily track because we touch
Right, you
thousands
just
of
do
people.
CrossFit,
Yeah, yeah.
gotcha.
And then we have like candidate levels, which is somebody who's in the midst of, showing their coaching ability. And it's a long candidate like track to be able to become a coach, right? So you have to pass an entire curriculum before you even get the chance to get a scholarship for your level 1 within Redemption Road. And then we have the people who actually have their credentials, and those are the individuals that are our coaches and haven't gone back.
No one that's gotten their level 1, right?
No one that's got their level 1 inside prison has gone back.
Right. That's a huge number. Like, what percentage-wise goes back?
Well, so Colorado has a stat we looked at the other day. It's about 48%
Yeah.
recidivism.
At the time of
Right,
the
that's
level 1,
lower
the
than I
first one, it
thought,
was
yeah.
54 for Colorado and 72 nationally.
So Colorado's doing better, period.
Colorado's doing better, period.
But essentially, out of every 2 people that get out of prison at some point, 1 goes back.
Yeah.
Within the first 3 years.
Within the and then, so you're already way beyond that because it's been like 3 years for so many. How many guys?
2018 or 17, I think, was the start of the program.
Yeah, 17 was when we started. And, it took us a long time for coaches to actually start getting out. Because a lot of us had sentences that we just weren't going to get out.
You weren't going to get out at all,
I
right?
had a 60-year sentence. I did some court stuff, got a 48, and then I ended up getting clemency by the governor. And then
When you go from 60 to 48, do you even care?
that actually would have kind of got me excited.
Really?
I was like, oh, I'm
You
going
do
home.
math though? You're like, I'll be 6. Like, do you do math like that?
Yeah, I was like, well, I was going to be old as hell, and now I'm not. And so I'm good.
You'll be pretty old, Nick.
I'm still pretty old.
You
man.
will be. No, I'm saying
I think
like
I'm
48
older than you.
48 years later.
48 years later, yeah. And so my case manager looked at me like, you're excited over this? And I was like, yeah, man.
Better than 60,
It's
right?
better than 60.
And you're doing the math, like good
Yep.
behavior, all that.
I was like, look, sometime in the mid-2040s, I'll be getting out. And I was happy about that. I was like, well, I saw light at the end of the tunnel. And then it wasn't like that happened. And then literally a week later, we got our L1s. And I was like, oh, now I'm just having fun, But, then I ended up getting clemency in 2021 and got out May 10th of 2022. And, from all of us getting out, and our coaches, everybody's in the industry. Like everybody's like working at gyms. We have him up in Fort Collins at Wild
like
Horizons.
this dude, I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I seen him get out, and within like a month, he's got a better job and career than like myself. I was like, this dude's doing better than me. He's
Yeah.
coaching all the time. He's got a hot wife now. All of a sudden, like I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on? This is working. I mean,
this is it. Like, well, he's super charismatic, so he's going to get his way,
Dude,
right?
he's so charismatic. He's got
I
the
had to
Riz.
work.
He's got
You
the
know,
Riz,
I was
this guy.
coaching at 3 different gyms, driving all around the country or the
But
state.
you,
I mean,
and you as well, being a fantastic
But
job for the
What
team.
sucks is he works harder than anybody else, and I guess I got the opportunity. I don't
You
know.
were just like, I was trying to get him hooked up at boxes. I got too many jobs.
Yeah.
I was. You know what was? Yeah, I know. Yes, that was the case. The problem was with the stipulations because I actually didn't get out on parole, so I got out on community corrections. So it was like a halfway house, right? There's the limitation there that like a lot of boxes like to hire within, which is fantastic, unless like you need to get a job within 2 months or you get like a sanction or a write-up, right? So I was like, I need to.
But you got a job that. What was your first job?
So it was
Orange
a
Theory?
personal trainer. Yeah. So I worked at Orange Theory as well, right? I don't work there anymore, but it was a fantastic community bonding as well. Which somebody that I coach at Orange Theory was sitting next to us down there at watching all the events.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny,
They're
yeah.
actually CrossFit at heart. They do both.
Yeah.
But so Orange Theory, I worked there, and then I worked at personal training, just like one-on-ones at a gym called Zone. Which made me a fantastic CrossFit coach because when you get that one-on-one work with people, right, it's great. But that's not even that's beautiful that I had that. But I volunteer at Wild Horizons sometimes, right? Ryan Garcia is the head coach there, and he coaches Monday through Saturday, 5:30 to 5:30 every single day. He's the only guy. He has a really good number there. He's just a fantastic coach. And he heard about us, and he's like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, you bring your guys. We understand that you probably don't have the financial ability to, pay for an affiliate fee, right? So we'll waive all your guys' affiliate fees for as long as you need. Like, we'll say 3 months, but if the person doesn't have a job, we'll extend that
That's
to 6 months if
really
needed,
awesome
right?
of him, yeah.
And he also gives us the gym space on Saturday mornings for 2 hours with nobody in it.
I see you doing
And then
that.
I get to do the recovery coaching work because that's my current job is doing like peer specialist work. So I bring people from the halfway house currently, which I have good standings with, and we all go do CrossFit. We usually do like a 40-minute EMOM and a little bit of like Olympic, strength work on the barbell.
You know what's funny? When he got out and he's on social media, it was interesting because I was watching you and I was like, oh, he's like a teenager on social media.
Yeah.
He's like learning
I think you told me that.
He's like putting every filter on.
Yeah.
He's like posing in front of other people's cars.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is like, he's fresh out. He's just seeing this thing.
Yeah.
Because you went in, there was no social media.
A little
Minimal,
bit. Minimal.
him a
Yeah.
little bit. There was MySpace when I went to prison.
You
So
had your
things have
top 8
changed.
and that was
Yeah.
good.
I was a
top 8.
teenager, so yeah, getting out at 30, I was like, oh man, this is a shock.
But and going back to it, let's talk about CrossFit at the box. I remember what prison were you in when we met?
I was living in Sterling, but
Right.
we met at Fremont.
Fremont. And I didn't know much about it, and other than TV shows and movies.
Yeah,
right? And
which is all wrong.
some of it's
Some of it's wrong.
right, but but it was like I had no idea. Like one of you was somebody there was like, well, white people do this, black people do this, like Mexican people do that, and you're like, you don't. They were like, you don't get it. Like this is what's happening here in CrossFit is not normal.
Absolutely.
So let's go back to the beginning. You and it was Brendan and John,
Brandon Cruiser, John Willis, Damian Arguello, myself, Trevor Jones, who's over there. We kind of just all started it. Brandon and Damian are the founders.
right? That's right.
And, we were just doing CrossFit for a long time, just a few of us. And, like 2 became 4, became 6. And then
this
Brandon.
is all white guys, though.
I mean, majority of us, yeah, we're
Right.
white. And so, and there was a real hard rule, like white guys worked out with white guys, Mexicans and Mexicans, but none of us really like played into that, right? I worked out with Damien every day. He's a Mexican, and it was like frowned upon. But we saw that once we started our program, when they asked for our program to become a real, gave us a time slot in the gym, and what we saw was that when people came in to work out, all that facade went away. And they would just work out and enjoy their hour, right? It was probably their best hour in prison of that day.
I was at the other one, and some guy came up to me. His name was Jason. I don't remember his last. I don't remember which prison it was, but he was like, that was the best day in 20 years.
Yeah.
So best hour, like best day.
Best day,
yeah.
He was literally like, I remember, he was like, that was the best day I've had in 20 years.
Yeah.
Us getting our level 1s when we met you and we were with you and Becky and
Yeah.
Nicole, like that was one of the best days I had, and it just.
I tell people they're my favorite seminars.
They are for sure.
But you're working out with those guys.
And so what we saw was that, black guys, white guys, it didn't matter. They were working out together, shared suffering. They were enjoying themselves. And then it started translating back to the housing unit. And that's when we knew we had something special, right? When we saw people that would normally not hang out with each other, walking and talking on the yard and getting to, just talking about the workout, we knew that we had something special. And then we started seeing more and more people signing up. And the people that were like, the so-called like tough guys in the prison, they were wanting to start to come and do it. And they were just enjoying themselves just as much as everybody else. And everybody was just bonding over fitness.
Yeah.
Who's somebody that you were like, this guy is not going to do it, and then stuck with it?
Oh, I would say.
Ponce.
No, it's somebody who I was proud of getting their level 1 because they got out and they came right back in was Tevin. Because when Tevin took the level 1 at Fremont, that's when you met him with me. He had just gotten out. And getting out
he came back in.
He came back, and it was like only 2 weeks that he had been out, right?
Yeah.
And 2 weeks within getting out, there's a lot going on, like IDs, license, just figuring out. And he was also in a halfway house, and so he was able to speak with management, tell them the process that he needed to do to come back into a facility, and the facility was gracious enough, nobody understands how many hoops and jumps that he had to go through to get back in after only being out for a few weeks to come back in and get his level 1. And it's not that I saw him and I thought that he wouldn't make it. I just thought that was an impossible task that he accomplished and didn't even say a second word about it. He was just happy to be there.
I've seen Tevin a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about, we worked out together. He's jacked.
Cool.
He's jacked,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's cool.
Yeah.
So you got to go, and then how soon after that did you hop in, Taylor?
So that's when Trevor actually ended up coming to Fremont, where I was at, and I was a power lifter.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to lift heavy weight, and I can't walk up a flight of stairs kind of guy. But I care what I look like.
I mean, you're still very strong.
Yeah. Actually, I got stronger because of CrossFit. Yeah, my strength actually did not go down. It's just every other aspect of my fitness just increased along with my strength. So it was cool. But I got in about maybe a year and a half, 2 years after all these guys met and kind of started their thing. And Trevor was like, hey, I'd love you to jump on board with CrossFit. And I was like, I don't know about CrossFit, man. I just, you know what I mean? I'm not into just doing a bunch of cardio. And he's like, that's not what that is, right? He's like, CrossFit is functional movements, right? Done at high intensity, constantly varied. I was like, I don't know what that means. He's like, cool, let me show you.
Yeah.
And then he ended up talking about it's not about the fitness, what you can lift, nobody cares, right? It's about the community aspect, and it's about actually what's in here, not what's out here. And I was like, okay, I can get into that, right? And he's like, to be a coach doesn't matter about, I don't care what you know, it's about your character. And I thought that was super cool. So we worked on the character aspect first, and that was the big aspect of what coaching was, especially inside prison, because coaches get to go home outside. Coaches don't get to go home. We brush our teeth next to the people that we coach. We eat breakfast there. So if there's any time where we are not acting in accordance with what we preach, that's the biggest thing. And that's what I saw Trevor doing. And then eventually met all these guys that the walk the walk, talk the talk kind of thing. They walked more than they talked, is what I'm saying. So their actions were louder than their words. And I thought that was one of the things that kind of drew me towards what CrossFit was.
That's a really good point. So you're saying, I'm a coach, and I'm coaching you guys at the box. Like, hey, eat meats, vegetables, nuts, seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. You don't know what I'm doing when I leave.
Exactly.
Right? But when I
can tell that you're doing that.
I mean, it's obvious.
It's obvious, yeah.
But if I'm like, hey, do that, and then I'm eating honey buns in my cell, you're like, who's this guy?
Yep.
So you really have to live it.
You live it. I mean, you're like he said, you're around these guys every single day. And a lot of us were peer, what is it called?
Mental health peer assistants.
Mental health peer assistants. So we would go out on these mental health first aid calls to the guys that we're coaching. And they're having the worst day of their life. You go over there, try to talk them off the ledge. And they see you in every interaction. They see you, whether someone's in your face, whatever, how you handle yourself. And it really translates to the gym. They start looking up to you, and they want to model themselves after you, because for the longest time, people were just walking a different road and not there's an accountability piece that's a part of our program. Mentorship, accountability, and community are the three things that we live by. And I believe wholeheartedly that every person on this earth wants to be held accountable by their peers, that wants to be told when they're messing up, wants to be told when they're doing great, right? And that fuels us to be better.
Yeah.
You know, like when you get accolades from your friends saying, hey, you really like impressed me with that, or I really like the way you handled yourself on there, or even with the workout, like, hey man, you did good. It translates and it makes you want to strive to be a better person. And that's what we saw happening with our program, 100%.
I get asked all the time, what gym software should a gym owner use? And the short answer is, I don't care. What I care about is the companies like PushPress design software that helps gym owners run better businesses. So if you're working with a software company, you're not happy, and you don't know what to do with the information that software gives you every single day, check out PushPress. They've got built-in systems like the 180-day journey that we helped them build inside of PushPress Grow that'll help you interact with your clients at a better clip in order to improve your retention. So if that's something you're interested, reach out to those guys at PushPress and help you run a better box today.
So were you around when Taylor started?
Yeah, he was at Fremont, I was at Lyman. And then he ended up coming over to Lyman, and we had a conversation like, do we let Taylor in? And I was like, absolutely.
There was consideration to not letting Taylor
Well,
in?
I mean, as a coach.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
it's a very it's like
yeah.
Hard. I mean,
yeah.
We have a syllabus that we require, and there's a lot of you have to be 6 months as a participant, 6 months as a coach candidate, and then prove yourself as a coach.
that's
So
part
this
of
is
your
what happened.
success, though.
This is what happened. The reason why I went to Lyman wasn't on good graces because
he
I
had
was
gotten in
walking.
trouble or
Yeah, I got
something.
in trouble, right?
What'd you do?
Okay, so I ended up actually having someone who worked there bring me in creatine because I wanted to increase my fitness, which
Someone
is a no-no.
like a CO.
Yeah.
How do you convince a CO to bring you creatine?
They actually just recognized, they were like, man, we see you taking your fitness pretty serious, and they offered. And
So they were
like,
trying to just be nice
they
people.
were trying to be nice. Well, this is what happened. He said, I have a bottle that I hate the flavor of. And he's like, you and your friend work out harder than I've seen anybody, even at the gym that I have out there. He's like, would you guys like this? Because I bet it would be a huge thing. And
But
that
you're
was like,
not allowed to have creatine.
we're not allowed to have it. Yeah.
So how do you begin to store a jar of creatine in prison? To hide
Yeah.
it?
So there's just hide it in the creamer jar is what I did, right? It looks
Yeah.
like creamer, right?
But they found it?
No, somebody told. There's eyes everywhere,
always
right?
someone
and
telling.
so when I went over there, the idea was, do we let him a coach? And
They just transferred you to another prison because you had creatine?
Yeah.
It's
It's a zero tolerance policy when it comes to
zero
that.
tolerance policy.
What is that considered? Like a drug? But it's
No,
I
it's
didn't
just
I didn't get a write-up or anything. They were just
yeah.
like, hey, you go over there now.
So the write-up is a compromising of staff, is what's
right,
going to
because
get.
they're going to bring you creatine. What's
They might do something different. But, it was a blessing because we got Taylor.
Yep.
And then he got to be around all of us.
But
And
what
then-
happened was I fell from the top. At Fremont, I was at the top.
Top
right?
of the leaderboard or top of the...
No, I was like the head coach guy. Yeah.
Oh, but you didn't have your level 1 yet.
No, I didn't have my level 1 yet, but I was like, people looked up to me on the yard, right? And they were like, oh, because I was also strong. It helps when you have a little bit something to show about it, right? That speaks volumes inside prison with a bunch of alpha male type personalities. So people, they looked up to me, and nobody thought it was a bad thing, but what was cool was that I didn't get the opportunity to be a coach at Lyman immediately. I had to work my way up back from the bottom, but that spoke volumes because I did, and hopefully I took it graciously.
Absolutely, he did. And I thought it was great that he did that process. And obviously, today he's the vice president of RF2. He's done amazing things with his life. Moved to Sterling and really helped that prison out with the formulation of RF2 up there. And that's what we do, man. We just try to build each other up.
We have a lot of people, though, that fall from the top as well, because nobody's perfect, and there's slips, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, if you have one flat tire, don't slash all the other three, right?
Just out of
Just
spite.
work on getting that tire fixed kind of thing. And so what's cool is when I'm usually the person that had to tell somebody that messed up, like, okay, we're going to have to bring you down to a participant again because, no, this is the rules. This is how we have to, work on the character. And if we're not there, we don't just allow things to slip through the cracks. We actually have an accountability program. Accountability isn't just punishment, but it's owning up to what you said you were going to do but didn't do, right? And so I was usually the guy that had to usually hand out those kinds of accountability sessions. And people would listen because they knew the story. They were like, yeah, you took that graciously. I'm going to take it graciously too. But if I had just got the ability to go right into Lyman, right, and be a coach right off the bat again, I actually missed my level 1. So me taking the level 1 with you was fantastic, but I was ready 3 years before that. And I was
it wasn't like you get to wait.
I had to
A
not.
month.
Yeah.
3 years you waited?
I waited 3 years because it was supposed to be September. That I was supposed to get my level 1. I was all studied up. I was ready to go. And then I got moved to lineman as I was studying when my level 1 was a month from then. So they said, you can't be a coach. But what they also said was, you can't take that level 1 with us, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a hit, right, to my heart. But I was like, okay, cool. I'll work my way back up. COVID hits, 2020, right? There's no seminars going on the next year. The second year, COVID's still around, right? Third year, finally, we got the ability to transfer a bunch of people into a facility where we had the multiple facilities going at once, right? So I waited 3 years, and that's why I got to coach everybody and tutor them. Everybody that was under my tutelage at Sterling passed with 100%.
Yeah.
But it's because I've been studying for 3.5 years.
I tell you, I still remember, I've said it before, this guy could have presented at the level 1.
Yeah.
He was like, I'd like be like, all right, who knows what CrossFit is? This guy constantly very, right? Who knows what fitness? And I'm telling you, like, real world, maybe one person studied.
Yeah.
No work capacity, bro. Everyone there was just like.
That's how it was at our L1 as well. Like we had Eric O'Connor and Jason McDonald.
Yeah, that was the first one.
And they were just super impressed with the way we just took it serious, man. Like we studied that thing. We quizzed each other. Trevor and I would have flashcards, and we would do burpees for every wrong answer.
Yep.
While we're running, like on the spot, if I asked you like a question and you got it wrong, you were doing burpees on the spot, no matter what, in the middle of a WOD or whatever. And so, that kind of accountability, really, that's why right now, when people are getting out, our coaches are getting out, like these affiliate owners are looking for our coaches, which is good, right? Kevin Ogar said that he would help develop them just to get them some real-world practical application. We've hired multiple of our coaches at CrossFit Decimate down in Colorado Springs. And, Alex, the owner of Decimate, he's hired me before I even got out. Basically based off of my morning chalk-up article and some word of mouth from some friends.
He's a good dude.
He is a good guy.
I love Alex.
And so, what we're trying to do with our program is we're just trying to expand it. We're in 13. We're in 10 affiliates inside. We have 18 facilities in Colorado. There's a couple that'll never happen. We never thought of getting to Centennial, which is like a max. But we're starting the process of getting in there right now.
At a max?
At a max, yeah.
Like
administrative segregation.
No, we were at there's medium and close, so that's 5 levels.
Yeah.
We were at 4s, 3s, 2s.
What were we at?
Fremont's a 3.
Yeah.
Sterling's a 4 and a 3 and a 2.
And then I was at one where there was a hotel.
Yeah.
There was they were
Which one's
ordering
that?
Amazon and.
That was Delta, right? The last one?
Yeah,
Beacon,
yeah.
The Beacon.
The Beacon. Oh, yeah.
That's a half.
That's a half.
Is that actually what it's considered?
No.
No.
It was
It's very nice.
Yeah, he was like, we brought in some food, and the next day he had it. He was like, yeah, ordered Amazon.
Yeah.
I was like, you got Amazon?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the guys that are doing a lot of good things, though, too. They're writing programming. They're doing everything they're supposed to. And so they've really worked their way to those facilities.
It was
Patrick.
Pat, right, who was in there for life. And
but now he just got resentenced, too, and he's coming home probably by the end of the year.
Yeah.
That was, I saw you a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
And so we're super happy about that, yeah.
Man, I see this Pat.
Yeah.
He's the Mexican guy.
Yeah.
He's got a Taylor Swift tattoo.
Yeah.
Because at the time I had an open nanny that she loved Taylor Swift, and we were talking. He's like, look. And I was like, you got that in prison? That's a really good tattoo, first of all. Secondly, I would not expect you to have a Taylor Swift tattoo. But he did one squat. I was like, I remember you. You have the worst squat I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever seen.
Yeah, ever seen. He's the guy that had a hole in his neck.
Yeah, they gave him some medication, and it was the wrong medication, and they put holes in his throat. Yeah.
All you guys are so funny in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's just...
You have to laugh at yourself because you don't have much else to laugh at, right?
What I appreciate, though, is that all the level 1s I've been where you're at, it's not even 5 minutes and you're in the door, and you're already bantering like we do.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been there for
You fit
years
in
and
well.
years.
Yeah.
You fit in well.
I was just like, oh, it's like an all-dude seminar. This is funny.
Yeah.
We could,
You can have,
you can.
there's a different air to it for sure.
Yeah, it's fun. So, I was talking to my au pair, and she was like, she's 20-something. And I was telling her about you guys, and she was like, "Oh, prison sounds real nice. It might be peaceful." I was like, I don't know how it is in Colombia, where you're from.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's a different. I was telling her, when I go in, you put your phone away. There's a different stress when you leave.
Yeah.
So Do you feel like there was less stress on that front in prison? Like the social media
Oh,
stuff?
Yeah, but there's different kinds of
I mean,
stress.
yes. There's
At any
definitely
moment,
different-
you could lose anything.
Yeah.
So like a cool thing about out here.
Out here
is-
being not in prison.
yeah, sorry. You can continue to grow linear if you keep your things straight. Pay your bills, continue to grow, save a little money, find a wife,
Find a sipping snacks.
find a
for
sipping and
yourself.
snacks. Yeah, that's great. But at any moment in prison, you can come all the way back down
What would
with
it
one
take?
small
What's that?
decision.
One second.
Creatine in your creamer jar.
Creatine and
And that's so tempting. And after a long time of doing really good, that seems like, hey, maybe life has handed me an opportunity, right? Nope. Character has to be there at all times. And even if you don't do anything wrong, the rules can change. Somebody else moves into the upper position, doesn't like what we're doing, and they take all the good things that you've worked towards.
It's
Even
100% true.
That's a stress that is tough because no matter what, you are still not in control of your life fully.
I remember talking to you there. Oh, I forget the woman's name. You were very close with her. I forget her name, though. She was super helpful there.
Was it Ginger Elbell?
Yeah, but
Yep.
Ginger, right?
Yep.
And you were telling me, you were like, they got us transferred here. We're on like 24-hour lockdown or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing? You're like, I pace.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's all you can do.
Yep.
And I remember her saying, like, that's why he will be good. Because, like, you accept what you can control, and you disregard everything else.
Yeah, for sure.
How has that helped you out here?
It's perspective, and perspective is a great thing to have because I never get down about anything out here because I've been through.
Since you've been out,
Yeah.
are you just like, this is better than being in prison?
Kind of. It's more than that. It's appreciating, and it's a gratitude type of thing. If I give a challenge to people that I like do recovery coaching with,
Yeah,
I'm like, make a gratitude list, and you can't repeat anything for at least a week. Write 5 things down in the morning, or think about it and say it out loud, vocally, right? 5 things that you're grateful for in the morning. And you can't repeat any of the same 5 things from Monday to Monday, right? And look at how that changes your perspective about all the small things that you can appreciate. It's not about where we come from, right? It's about what we can appreciate that we didn't have before because we see it. I drive down the road to work and I look at the sunset on the way there, or the sunrise on the way there, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
The mountains are great. This road is fantastic, and it's all bumpy, right? It's like, it's a road.
Yeah.
I didn't get that before. It's great. I have a car, like, just small things.
How do you keep a positive attitude in prison?
I mean, you can either just have a negative attitude, which a lot of people do, right?
What percentage? Or just walk around negative?
80-20.
80-20.
80%.
80-20.
Like, so more likely than not, you bump in. I mean, you
That's
hear
why the
about it.
recidivism rate's the way it is, right?
Why?
Because they've pre-programmed their mind into, and I'm going to say it, it's a crazy thing, but it's a victim mentality.
Right now, yeah.
No,
I
100%.
am my circumstances, I am my situations, versus I am my choices and I am my character. The freedom is up here. The freedom isn't your circumstances or the walls that surround you. I can be happy with 4 sterile walls and a cement bed. I've lived in a cement room for a year, right? When I first was down, they put me in a box and the light never turned off for 1 whole year. And I was 19 years old. And I was happy as hell. I just had books to read and I worked out. I put on 40 pounds. I was looking at myself.
In
I
your
was like,
cell?
wait until I get out and show all my friends I'm buff now, right? And like, you just look forward to the small things, yeah.
But when you got there for 1 year, you were in a room where the light didn't go off?
That's because I was a knucklehead.
What do you mean?
Like, just always acting up. They were like, this is how we
So it
handle
wasn't
knuckleheads.
like day one, this is your room. You
No.
got in, and they were like, this dude is going to be trouble.
My first deal was 106 years. At a 19-year-old, I was like, okay.
You're like, I'll be 118.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so you're like, okay, well, what do I have to put my...
106 years they gave you?
No, that's what my first offer was, right? And so I was like, cool, I'm a passionate person. The only avenue I have to put this passion into is bad guy stuff, because that was the only thing that was open to me. So I'm like, cool, I'm a passionate person. What am I going to be passionate with? Bad guy stuff was the only opportunity presented
give me
to
some
me.
ideas. What's some bad guy stuff?
Bad guy stuff is gangs and politics, right? I was like, cool, I'll just get into the politics. I'll really get into all this stuff and the rules. And I was like, ooh, I love structure, right? And then here's CrossFit and RF2. And he's like, here's a different kind of structure. Here's a different kind of area that you can put your passion to. How about instead of going and doing some dumb stuff over here, come do Fran and see how...
This is Trevor said this?
This is basically what he said. Yes, I'm, categorizing, or I'm squishing months and months of words, but it was basically this. He's like, yes, this was the only opportunity before. Here is a new opportunity. here's a new way to do things. If I have a team of people that were passionate about the wrong thing and I just change that direction, that is a team that will go to war with you. And when I say war, I just mean tackling community, just fitness.
stuff.
Yeah.
So after you spent a year in this bright room.
It's called ADSEG. Administrative segregation.
This is like the hole.
Yeah,
The hole,
That's
yeah.
the hole for permanence. But
the light doesn't go off?
Not at night. No, you just have to put a pillowcase around your eyes or a sock.
And the bed is concrete? Not even imagine?
It's a concrete slab with a bed on it that's this thick.
And what are they feeding you?
The same. Yeah, you get the same as everybody else.
But if you don't get commissary,
No, yeah, when you're ADSEG, you got minimal commissary.
so you could still get some honey buns.
Yep. And then the commissary was all junk food.
Honey bun.
Yeah.
You get honey bun.
Yeah.
That's what. There's one guy, I forget his name, but he was talking about like fat bastards. And
Yeah.
Yeah, fat
making, like,
bastards.
honey buns.
We're going to talk about a food truck. We're going to make a food truck called
Food truck, Fat
we're gonna
Bastards.
do
You
Fat
should do a
Bastards.
prison food truck.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be
what we're
sick.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
It would
Really?
be
You're gonna
actually
do that?
fantastic. Yeah.
That would go over.
We were absolutely talking
want to
about it because
invest in that.
contrary to
Yeah,
popular, they're good.
Yeah, but it's like legit, like prison food, like honey
Yeah.
buns, like the
Yeah.
staples, ramen.
Well, yeah. Well, we could probably make them better and just like coin the
Yeah,
phrase.
yeah.
Coin the
We
phrase,
make them
yeah.
taste good.
So you get out of. Wait, 1 year, like you don't leave that room
Nope. Oh, you leave it for 1 hour a day to go to another room with a shower head,
to shower.
and then you come back in.
So you're not interacting really with anybody?
Nope. Yep. Then
What are you doing?
you're imagining and hoping that one day you get another human interaction. And what I realized was all the things that I was looking at buying when I was young, all the money from
The
selling
reason you
drugs.
got into this.
The reason I got into this, I love fancy watches and nice cars and nice clothes. I didn't give two. Can I cuss on this podcast?
Yeah.
I didn't give two shits about any of that stuff, right? What I cared about was people, and those were the people I avoided. And it was a lesson. It was a light that turned on. It was like all that stuff that I chased in life, I don't remember or care about at all. I said, I just want to have a human interaction. And all the times that I spent with my mom on vacation and spent hanging out with my brother and dad and things like that, that was the memories that stuck with me. And those are the things that I try to recreate out here. I try not to chase things. I love people and use things, right? Versus the other way around, which is too commonly seen.
So were you ready when you got out of that for a year to do this, or was there still more?
No. People say, oh, there's a flip of a light switch. Mine was a dimmer switch all the way from here down to here, right?
See, I had the exact opposite. I changed my life. Well, I got a bunch of time, right? I had like 103 burglaries, motor vehicle thefts, and I was like 400 pounds.
Yep.
And I just came
crazy,
to
huh?
I just came to the
I didn't know you were
realization
for-
that, like,
I think I knew that. I think you showed me that picture. Yeah.
yeah, and I just came to the realization one day that I gave my entire life to a substance. That it took not only my freedom, right?
So you were on drugs, which was.
I was
called-
on drugs that was fueling the need for the theft.
Right.
And I came to the realization one day that I gave this powder that doesn't care about me. It's an inanimate object, and I gave it the entire power of my life. Not only did it destroy me mentally, physically, it put me into prison for 60 years. And then now I've came off of those drugs and gained, 100-something pounds. And I just came to the realization this ends today, And I was like, there's no more. I'm not going to eat bad. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to smoke. Sunday's going to be my 16th year of sobriety.
Congrats.
I lost 200 pounds. It took me 3 years to do it. And I never looked back.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, this. I have a new journey. I'm never going to give something that much control over my life ever again.
But that's cool that it's two different.
Yeah, two different stories. But we came into the same exact
Yeah.
place.
Well, I think what's really cool too is obviously I'm sure I know there are guys in prison that I met that have this, but they're still in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh.
got to be challenging, right?
They're
'Cause
some of the best
is,
people I
yeah.
know in the world. Some of my best friends are doing life sentences or just extraordinary sentences that deserve a chance to get out that we have to fight for. And
Yeah.
so that's why I work with the legal system to try to do a lot of 35C work, which is your post-conviction relief. I have my lawyer. I'm on a board that governs about 700 lawyers in the state of Colorado. And we work tirelessly to try to make change, affect change in the legal system so other guys can have a chance to get out. Because like you said earlier, there's a lot of, the movies and the TV shows, and those show one aspect of prison. But there's also a huge aspect of prison where there's guys that are dedicating their life to building up the person next to them, to educating them, to being there for them, to correcting their wrongs, walking them through it to make better decisions. And those guys aren't getting any recognition at all. They're, they're just doing it not for the recognition because they're servants. And, the best leadership is servitude leadership. And those guys are living it every single day, and women. We're in two of the women prisons.
Yeah.
And they're doing fantastic. We just hired one of the women that got out, Rebecca. We hired her at CrossFit Decimate. So it's super cool. So she has her L1. She got it with Kevin. And we're really excited about that. But to bring light to what's really going on in prison is my mission. And to bring light to the extraordinary sentences that our country's handing out for drugs and theft, and even, sad to say, it'll ruffle a lot of feathers, but with murder, a lot of people think it's an eye for an eye, and I understand that mentality, especially from a victim standpoint and the victim's family. But there's people that are making a tremendous amount of amends for what they've done.
Well, and it's also relative to there's 16-year-olds, right, that are then going to prison for life.
Yeah, see, like Trevor, he was a juvenile life, and
26 years.
26 years he spent in prison, and
he was a juvenile, meaning what, under 18?
Under 18 when the murder.
It's like under 18, I couldn't even wipe my ass.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I look back at when I was that age, and I'm like,
yeah,
I was already in juvenile prison because I couldn't make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine getting a life sentence at that age. And but a lot of our friends had it, and now they're moving on, right? A bunch of our friends have gotten out on when they redid that law. And that's what it's all about, is trying to legislate to get laws changed so it positively affects those that deserve it.
Yeah.
What are some beliefs about prison that are true? What's something we've seen in the movies you're like, that's real?
Segregation.
Just like white people, black people?
Well, if you say, especially Lyman, which is where I actually got to meet Nick, white sits in the front, right? There's the first 3 rows, and then you have...
He's talking about the chow hall.
Chow hall, I'm sorry, where you eat. Yeah,
okay.
Chow hall. So when you walk in, you walk into a line, you pick up your food. The first 3 or 4 were white people, right? The next, the Mexicans are broken up into different, there's paisas, which means you're from Mexico. There's there's just a bunch of different Mexican gangs, right? Mexicans take up a good portion of the middle, right?
But amongst themselves, they're split?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, they're
not enemies,
together. They're not enemies,
but they sit with each other, right?
Yeah.
And then there's blacks, and then they sit in a different section and things like that. And then there's Native Americans and things.
And you couldn't just be like, if you were a black dude, I couldn't walk up and be like, what's up?
Yeah, you can say what's up. Yeah, but it depends.
Sit with you.
Yeah, and
eating was like a
big no-no. Yeah, and your own people will take care of you if they don't.
What would happen?
Yeah, you get beat up.
Really? So if I'm like white, I go like, hey, my buddy's black, I'm gonna go sit with them for dinner.
Yeah.
I come back to the white people and you're beating me up?
Yep.
Probably.
You're gonna get. I mean, they're gonna come to you later and talk to you.
They might have a good stern talking to.
If you do it again, you're gonna get beat up.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're like, hey, screw you, I sit with who I want, then that's the thing that they don't want to hear.
Don't do that.
They want to hear like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Did that ever happen then? If it was obvious, like rules?
I mean, it happens all the time, but
yeah, we broke. Okay, so John Willis said so well that racism is a luxury, and when you're doing burpees and sweating over thrusters and pull-ups, racism goes out the window because we're both suffering together, right?
Yeah.
And that's what CrossFit did. It broke down these arbitrary segregation lines, and it allowed people to see people for who they are versus what they look like on the outside.
I mean, yeah, but you walked in there, you wouldn't have picked up that there was any racism.
No.
Because there's not.
I mean,
We've done a good job at breaking it down, and as the world progresses out here, the microcosm of what is prison also progresses.
I'll tell you, the first time we brought in a different group to our gym to do a workout, like we were all on edge. Like we purposely did like you're a 1, you're a 2, you're a 1, you're a 2. You guys go over here.
You have to go with.
And then it just so happened like these white guys, which there's a definite white gang in Colorado, and then there's these black gangs, which is like the Crips and stuff. They got paired up, and we're watching them, and I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna count these guys, just so I can
just make sure,
just to make sure that I'm there. And, the dude's in the other guy's face, like 2, 3, and screaming, and I could tell he's getting frustrated. He's like, why is this guy yelling at me? But, when they were done with that workout, and this is the first time, like, we were like, everybody, John's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, man, it's going to go down.
Yeah.
And what happened when the clock stopped and everybody, like, kind of dropped on the floor and they're breathing, And they got up and they started hugging, high-fiving, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to use this example as the reason why I knew we had something special is because later on, the next day, like he said, on the way to chow, like you have to walk to chow in the way you want to sit. You can't just go in there at the end of the line and expect to sit in the front.
The moment your foot steps out your door, you have a plan.
You have a plan.
Yep.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like
So,
your
like, if
door's
I'm
popping, it's chow time.
Right.
You're not just like, cool, what am I going to go today? Panera, right?
Yeah.
Like, fucking.
You're there,
There's no Panera
and
in
you're
prison.
filing into
Nope,
the chow
sadly,
hall.
yeah.
What I mean is like you're filing into the chow hall at where you're gonna sit.
Yeah.
So you're in the front. If you're white, you're in the front of the group.
But you have to go. I assume it's like a high school cafeteria.
Yeah, you gotta
right?
go
Like-
in, get your
like a high
tray, go down, and
Right.
sit down.
Very, very close to what high school looks like, except the popular kids and the non-popular kids. There's not really anybody that's better than others. It's just this is your
Different.
groups. Yeah,
But you,
different. Yeah.
So you're saying you leave your cell, but you get in line.
In the order you're gonna sit.
So you're in line with white people.
Yeah.
You're in line with black people.
And so later
four.
that next
'Cause
day,
there's 4 seats.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, okay, cool, boom, boom, boom. I'm waiting for you. Where's Fred at? Hurry the hell up, Fred. We got to get the chow. Everybody waits for him because if not, then things are thrown out of order.
Wow.
And some facilities like the 4 seat. So they're like, you sit here. And then if you're going to sit with somebody that you don't, you usually throw your tray. And so you don't get to eat because you don't want to break the rules, right?
The-
You don't want to break
the
the political
self-imposed
rules.
rules,
Yeah,
right.
self-imposed rules, which are the heavier ones.
So the guards are doing that to mess with you, though.
Yeah, they
Oh,
like
for sure.
They want to show you that they're in charge, and then you show them that I don't need food. I just
I'll
will
go
go
have
without.
a
Yeah,
honey bun.
Honey bun. Yeah.
Either
It's
way-
900 calories. I'm good.
What I saw was that when I was going to medical, right, from work,
Yeah.
and so they were coming across the yard, and I saw my friend. His name's Josiah. He's a level 1, and he was in the back of the line talking to the guys
White dude.
that was talking to the guys that he worked out with the night before. And I was like, oh man, you know
Those
what I
were
mean?
black dudes.
Yeah. And I thought for sure, like, okay, it didn't happen then, but it's about to happen now. You know what I mean? Maybe like they're gonna fight or something. But I walked up as fast as I could behind them, and I was like, hey, what's up, guys? And they were talking about the workout, like how they could have done it better, how they could have got a better time. And I was like, I just smiled, and I was like, all right, guys, I'll see you later tonight, you know? And it was special to me because I was like, man, we're on the right road.
Yeah.
And that was like the very verge, like, of us pressing our program. Like, we didn't expand to prisons. We didn't start in 10 prisons. We started in 1 with 1 unit, you know? And there's 6 units per prison. And it took us a long time to develop the relationship with and the trust with the facility to expand it to those 6 units.
Well,
And
they
then-
saw it was working.
And then they saw that it was working. And then it wasn't without like Trevor and everybody else expanding to these other prisons and moving. We would just be isolated in that 1 prison.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's
the
true. Because you're
magic-
moving around now, it
yeah,
almost spreads.
it does spread. But the
you
magic
don't want to
is
go somewhere else and be like, oh, I can't do CrossFit. You're
Right.
like, I'm going to go somewhere else and I'm going to make it so that we
Yeah.
can.
so we can, right? And so the magic was that administration saw the same thing that we were doing.
Yeah.
We asked for the data, and we're going to get that data, but like from just looking at it, like just, you know, unofficially looking at it, when we started our program, the fights, the drug use, and everything started to dwindle down
As a whole,
as a whole.
25%, I think, was the drop in 6
and so
months.
we
in,
saw
in a prison.
In a
in the
prison.
And that's not, and only a fraction of the people there are doing CrossFit.
doing
is true.
CrossFit.
Yep.
So we saw that it was just expanding and going back. And then during COVID, we started to see an uptick, right, in assault on staff, and drug use.
'Cause there's no CrossFit
Because there's no
happening. 'Cause there's no
CrossFit.
CrossFit.
So administration actually came to us and asked us, how do we fix this? We can't get you guys to
Let
run a
us
class.
do CrossFit again.
So what we did is we told them, like, let us do CrossFit, but we'll go to them. And so they bought us a cart with med balls, jump ropes, and all this stuff, and we started taking it to the units and started going inside their housing unit and doing CrossFit with them in their pods.
Well, and probably because they weren't able to leave,
And-
more people were doing CrossFit,
Look,
right?
So they started
Did
doing it
open
with us,
up, yeah.
and right away, those assaults, the drug use, all that stuff started to dwindle back down because you're giving them a positive outlet. You're not only like expending their energy, but they're actually focused, and they're like, oh, you guys coming back tomorrow? And they're not wanting to get in trouble because they want to do the workout again tomorrow.
Because it's the best hour of their day.
That's
Best
right.
hour of their day.
What's one thing that we think goes on in prison that doesn't?
Everything goes on in prison.
Yeah.
You name
Not
it.
as much of the sexual stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
That's probably not as much.
That's not as prevalent. Yeah.
It's
More
not just
fighting.
like you're gonna
More
do that.
fighting. Yeah.
More fighting.
They're not like to drop the soap. There you go. That's what I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for.
yeah.
There you
There's
go.
no drop the
There's
soap
no
stuff.
drop the soap stuff. Yeah.
I mean, that's a miss. I mean, it probably happened back in the 70s or something, but not now.
So, well, one, I remember when Eric and Jason went there, I was probably still in Florida, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then it was really cool that
we were just talking about it this morning because we saw Jason. He's down there on the floor.
He's a head judge.
He's a head judge, and I saw him, and I was like, hey, there's Jason McDonald, you know?
Eric's probably...
we saw him, but it was in the middle of the thing yesterday. I was like, oh, there's Eric, and it was us standing there, but I could tell he was frantic, and I was like, okay, we're just going to, you know. I saw him last year at the games, and we talked for a bit. We're friends on Instagram. But... you know, when he came in, he was a correctional officer as well in Canada.
Jason, yeah.
Yeah. And so when he came in for the first time, the CrossFit Journal, Andrea was there. It was Eric and Jason. And he kind of had like, you know, a little smug look on his face, a little chip, and he's real matter of fact. And we cracked him within like minutes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he has that real like Canadian accent.
Yeah.
And my friend Chris was like, did you just say a boot? You know, and he was like, looked at him like he wanted to hit him, and we all just started laughing.
Jason also a UFC fighter.
UFC fighter, yeah. We knew the story, and
that's why they sent those two in.
Yeah,
They sent those two in.
And then all of a sudden it was like sending the little guy. Like,
the little guy, yeah.
Well, then they realized that it wasn't as dangerous.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
As a matter of fact, we were so thirsty or hungry for it that like we were just like idolized like where you guys are. We still do.
Yeah.
Right? Still do. We're like, I want to be Jason one day.
When we signed up for our L2.
Like fear walking in.
Yeah. When we signed up, when we said, hey, we want to do our L2, he signed up immediately. Yeah. And when he came in, it was all smiles and hugs, and he was like, man, I couldn't wait to get back here to do this.
It's really rewarding.
It is.
Like my wife is always like, you come back and you're happy.
Yeah.
And you know, because I think at any level 1 or level 2, you have an impact.
Yeah.
But like I said, seeing what we did, hearing from a different Jason, like that he was like, this is the best day. And I was like, this dude, normally we could be at odds.
Yeah.
But it was like CrossFit eliminates all of that.
It does, man. And like what CrossFit's done for our program, like believing in us and giving us the scholarships that they do and believing in it and continue to work with us on a daily basis. Like we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Josh Murphy, right?
Yep.
Is Josh here?
Yeah, he told me to talk crap to you. He was like, man, tell me short and all sorts of stuff.
I just tagged him.
I know. I told him that you use him as an example in your lectures and stuff.
His
and,
brother.
His brother.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so we reached out to him, and we were going to have a booth, right? We wanted to have a booth here just so we can really get the awareness out. And he said, just do like some guerrilla style like campaigning. So we have pockets full of cards, wristbands, patches, and which is, I think it's more effective. Last year I was here with my work, the Phoenix, and I worked the booth, and I was here for 12 hours a day in the booth. Didn't get to watch but 4 events. This time we're in here. We have great seats. And we're really getting...
You got the suite? Did Josh get you the suite?
Dude, we're right next to him. We just went back to go watch. I was sitting right behind him.
Yeah, it's a good honeymoon.
Yeah. And so, like, what CrossFit's done for our program is just the belief, right? Meeting people like you and Nicole Gordon and Jenny Orr and, you know, I can't walk 10 feet in here without seeing a seminar staff that I've built relationships with.
Yeah.
You know, like... our last L1 was up in Rifle, Colorado. We transported Delta inmates to Rifle. And I got to hang out with John Brown.
Well, John's awesome.
Yeah, so I met him at a L2, I think, at Decimate, and I was just working. But he was like, oh, I really want to be involved in your next seminar. Well, he was able to come to this one. And being able to go out to dinner with them and talk to them and share the stories. I went to Montrose on a business trip the other day, went to his gym, worked out, which was super cool. And so just the community and the world that CrossFit brings into Redemption Road, like, you guys have no idea how the lives you are changing.
This guy, at his birthday, was going out to, like, 5-star restaurants.
Yeah, for sure.
5-star hotel.
Dude,
rolling up in his new car.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
He's got a nice car.
Yeah.
I do got a nice car.
Yeah. It's cool. It's so cool to see.
Affiliate owners, if you want to grow revenue, what you need to understand is impact first. Offering the best classes and changing people's lives is how you get the revenue that you are searching for inside of the affiliate. And that starts with running fantastic classes here inside of the box. If that is something that you are looking for, we've got world-class coaches that are going to help you do that and help you run a better box. Everything from the coaching on the floor to the systems on the back end, we're going to cover it all. Book a call. We'll see you guys on the inside.
So, coaches watching, you guys learned and prepared for your level 1 and now level 2, and you're going to take your level 3.
My level 3. I was gonna redo it, but your words keep on like
You will
fermenting
pass.
in
You will
my
pass.
mind.
What did you say? Don't be a bitch.
bee.
Something along that.
Along
But
those
also,
lines.
like, he knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I have zero concern. But, you know, some people out there, even with the internet at their fingertips, which you didn't have,
No.
struggle to become a better coach. How did you do it in prison?
Look, trial and error. Look, when we first started coaching each other, it was just like how we would, just talk to each other. Our first L1 gave us the knowledge, and then we took our L2. Nicole Gordon just really like honed in on just giving that a little bit of information. Give your body part of movement. Without that, like you're just over explaining stuff. You're just doing things. And then just having an eye for it, man. Doing CrossFit, just really living that life, eating right, working out, and then seeing the movements, understanding the technical side. A lot of reading, right? A lot of reading books. And then
You had a whole book list.
Yeah, we did. And then there's the practical aspect of it as well. Like, me and you, we're not that big. I'm not very intimidating.
Speak for yourself.
We might take our shirts off and look fantastic, right?
I saw you with Fee. With your shirt off. Yeah.
But if I'm going to tell, a 300-pound crip that shoulder presses 405 pounds how to squat, I better know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I better demonstrate that well through the pursuit of excellence, right? And if that's the case, the practical stuff, the books as well, right? The knowledge, and this is more level 2 stuff, right? If I can practically demonstrate to anybody on the spectrum of being able to teach Nick, yourself, or that example that I just gave, you're going to be a better coach.
Did you ever have an issue? Was there ever somebody who's like, I can bench?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Oh,
so
wait.
yeah.
It depends. It depends on.
Look, here's the deal. When we started our program, there are people.
Nick, shoot it straight over here.
Well,
Trevor's over
he
here
had a
nodding his
different
head.
facility. When I started coaching, it was at Fremont, which was a lot more low key.
Yeah.
He was at a level 4 at Lyman.
So the guys at
he broke
Lyman,
it down. Yeah.
They are like, I've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I deadlift 500, bench 400.
You can't touch your shoulders.
And I would tell them, like, look, this PVC pipe is mixing you right now.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot do a push press to save your life, not even with a PVC pipe.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, just give me the weight. And I'm like, yeah, show me you can demonstrate this with it. And we've had people quit. We've had people like, oh, those CrossFit guys are full of crap. And, I'm like, well, look, man, if you want to learn technique, come over and talk to me. If you want to learn solid movements, come over and talk to me.
Well, there's always, at every one, there was like a couple old guys,
Yeah.
like still doing it.
Dude, there's some of the oldest guys that, the dedication of some of the guys that are there, before they were just watching TV, eating soups, and just hanging out.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean CrossFit?
Eating soups.
Yeah, ramen noodles.
That's
Because they're old or just because?
just because that's all there is to do, right?
Yeah.
You get off work, you come home, hit the microwave, sit down, and just
people
watch
drink a
TV.
beer out here. People eat ramen noodle soups when they get off work.
for
out
sure.
there.
And so, but for a long time, they just weren't allowed on the weight pile. They weren't benching 400. They weren't deadlifting 500.
Oh, so they just had nowhere to go.
They just, and then we're like, hey, CrossFit's for everyone. They're like, no way. I'm not as fit as you guys. And I'm like, you don't have to be.
Infinitely
You can come.
scalable.
And
yeah.
so we would go there and we would show them like, hey, and they would get the same exact workout, feeling good. And they're the ones that showed up consistently. They weren't complaining about the PVC pipe or the push pipe or the hip drive. They weren't
They're
doing
probably feeling better than ever.
feeling better than ever. And in fact, medical came and talked to us and was like, hey man, can you get this guy in here? And we're like, absolutely. And so right now there's a dietitian. She works for the Department of Corrections. She actually is a member at Decimate. And she's like, my coworkers are anti anything to do with like providing a solid diet. But she's 100% on our side. And so I've been working with her like low key to try to change the diet, at least for the people that are in the CrossFit program.
Yeah.
Did you like earn good grace with the COs?
Absolutely.
Oh, well.
I mean,
okay, now I'm
other
going to
than
shoot it
bringing
straight.
grades.
Okay, so where he had trouble with the coaching and things like that,
Yeah.
we were having trouble at the other facility with administration because they saw something that was changing what they thought was already working well. And also, I don't mean to say this in a bad way or throw shade on an department that has helped us. But if we're taking away your ability to run an industry, that's dangerous in the long run, right?
sure.
Yeah.
In
There's
the
an
long run,
aspect of
if we have a very low recidivism rate, that loses money for your industry. That's
Right.
dangerous.
And I'm not gonna have a job.
And I'm not
one
going to
day.
have a
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
That's a really interesting take. But were there some perks?
Yeah. Look, I made everybody a
Other than
folder
creatine,
that, like,
somebody bring you a burger or something once in a while?
I mean,
Yeah, I did take them.
I didn't take them. I had a really cool boss in the laundry in Lyman for years.
that
And
worked there.
That worked there. Sergeant Sarah is his name. I'm just going to put him on blast. That dude is, I go out to his house right now.
Yeah.
I see him. I took him and his wife out to dinner on Christmas. One of the biggest impacts on me, besides like Trevor and my friend Damien, who really shaped my life when I was in prison, because I could have gone the other way, you know? And this guy, this old man, Sarah, he's an old cowboy, right? Old pro rodeo Hall of Fame dude. And he really just would tell me all the time, he's like, there's something special about you, man. You have a different plan in life. And he really looked out. Like, he believed in everything that we were up to. He saw the good. And so, yeah, he would bring us in elk. He would go like, oh, man. And then his wife would make chocolate chip cookies. And I love chocolate chip cookies. And so I would just open his lunchbox and go in there and eat it. And he's like, man, you got to stop doing that. But now, whenever I go to their house, his wife has those same chocolate chip cookies and give me a tin, And she's like, here you go. And so we built a strong relationship. As far as administration goes, there was a lot of trust that was involved because they knew that we weren't going to betray it. They knew that if they extended the trust to us, that we weren't going to let them down, because we would get 10 no's before we got a yes. But I would stay on them. And not only me, but Damien and John, everybody would be like, well, I know you said no last week, but let's just try to propose this in a different way. And then we write formal proposals and go above their head, and then they come back and talk to us. And it's a little battle, but it worked. And that's the main thing, is that it actually worked. And now we're in the Department of Corrections. And, some of the facilities that were so far progressive are now regressive, right? Like Sterling. I moved to Sterling from Lyman because of what Taylor and John and Brandon were doing up there. I was like, I'm going to be gone.
It's a 24/7 affiliate.
Yeah.
We allowed staff, the entire nursing crew came in to do workouts with us. And that allowed our coaches to not have to widen their spectrum of like personalities and types of people that they will be coaching eventually, right? Which was super cool.
Females.
So that's one of the main reasons I moved up there, is because they were coaching all day. Coaching females. No, I knew I was going to get out. Like, I just had a gut feeling that I was going to get clemency, and I was going to be released, and I wanted to be a better coach.
That's what they say in Shawshank, though. You can't hope.
Yeah. Hope is the only thing that kept me alive while I was in that room.
Yeah?
You can hope, yeah. That movie is inaccurate, at least in that statement.
There is a guy named Red, though, that can get you anything you want.
At any prison?
At any prison.
Andy Dufresne.
And every facility is different, right? Every facility is different.
Yeah.
So whereas they were seeing issues with coaching certain people because it was a little bit more of a higher level security facility, the gangs, the politics were heavier, but the staff was a little bit more welcoming to, we'll say, minimize the tension, right? And then you go to a lower facility place where I was at. I did RF2 at 3 different facilities, and I found that just like if you cross state lines, the politics are different. The entire environment is different. What you can and the problems that you do run into are completely different. So then there's some facilities where I did sit with different races and things like that, and it was not an issue at all, especially Fremont and Sterling and things like that, lower level Sterling, right? So we got to break down those barriers. But then the admin's like, we like it here how it is. Don't come in and change anything type style.
That's true.
So it's always two entities that we have to battle with, and it's a unique balance.
Did either of you have a point when you said you were a switch and you were a dimmer? Did you have a point where you almost went back in the wrong direction?
Yeah, that slip. Yeah.
Just that one, like you were almost like slash all the tires.
Yep.
What stopped you?
I think that, I don't know. It's a good question. Role models, mentorship, watching people, looking at them, and then telling myself, this is stupid. Why would you fall back?
But you're still like young at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to have that wherewithal.
Yeah, lessons learned hard are not always, it's not a great thing to feel, right? But it sticks and retains in there a bit more, right? Watching other people's mistakes is great. People say, don't learn from your own mistakes, watch other people. Yeah, okay, cool. That doesn't hit as hard when you get your first deal as 106 years, right? When you get your, all the coaching and the progress and the feel good from that, right? Taken away from you immediately based on one decision that you made that was incorrect. that wasn't based on character, but based on instant gratification. And so when you are young, it doesn't really matter because you know the repercussions and the consequences because you've been there.
What was the first thing you guys ate?
Man, so I went to this restaurant called Four by Brother Luck. Have you ever been there?
No.
It's like the 7-course, $200 a plate.
This is where you go from prison?
Oh, yeah.
Who's paying for
He got out on parole, so he had immediate
I got
freedom.
out on parole. So,
yeah.
And I also had a job where I saved about $12,000 when I was inside prison.
You saved 12 grand?
Yeah, look, man, I can sew. I don't know if you know this about me, but like, you put me behind a sewing machine and
You're a
Tighten
good
up those
sewer?
sleeves.
Yeah, this is good. Now that I know this, because that's
yeah.
hard for me to buy pants.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it is. You know what I mean? Got to get those hemmed
But
up.
why are you able to save 12 grand?
Because I made minimum wage. Because I
Oh,
can
you
sew.
got paid a normal rate.
Look, I sewed my ass
If you
off
make
every
minimum
day.
wage in prison, that is the equivalent
you have no
of
expenses.
the president's salary.
You have no
Yeah.
expenses.
Yeah, so they take a bunch for restitution and room and board. Like I paid rent. I was
Only because when you make a certain amount, they're like, you got to pay for
I
that.
paid $18,000 back on my restitution. I bought my mom a new car. I gave my sister money for a roof,
And still came out with 12 grand?
and still came out with about 12 grand in my savings
What were
account.
you making an hour?
I think I was making 62 cents, but then I only got no, that's a day.
That's a day.
That's a day. I didn't get paid hourly.
So in the,
But
in
I
the
only got
grand scheme
32
of things,
cents
I
of
was
that.
balling.
Because the others going to the same stuff?
Yeah.
Restitution and things like that. Yeah, I didn't have to pay rent because they're like, you make 32 cents a day.
How do you get that? Just certain jobs
Look,
or
man,
minimum
so
wage?
Lyman had a industry.
Oh, you were at the furniture place, right?
No, that's
No.
in Fremont.
Okay.
So at Lyman, we made all the clothes that the inmates wear. And so that's what the 90% of the people there sew, is just the offender's clothing. Well, I went in there, started sewing boxers and pants and shirts and stuff. And they actually thought I was stealing because I was producing so much. And I was like, well, just come over and watch, And so I started sewing, and they're like, well, here, come make this jacket. And then here, come make these pants. And then finally he was like, hey, have you ever tried making a backpack? And I was like, nah, but I'll try. And I made it, and I made it better than the guy that was teaching me. And he was like, oh, yeah, sit down.
You're virtuous.
I was a virtuoso in sewing. And so, it just came natural to me, man.
You didn't know this before going in?
I've never sat at a sewing machine a day in my life. But I can reverse engineer a bag. You give me a backpack, I'll tell you how to make it.
And now do you have a sewing machine at home?
I do. I was the only one that had my pants hemmed for his wedding.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
You did it yourself, though?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
I went to a tailor. My name is Taylor, but it's not with the I; it's with the
with
Y.
the
So I
Y.
have no.
Yeah,
there.
so I sewed, but then, I've always wanted to go to, I like fancy restaurants, and so we went, my family and I. And,
That's the first place you go.
First place we went. Like some
does that not
fried pork belly, some
your
octopus.
stomach must be.
It was cool. I mean, I was just enjoying it.
That's cool.
It was cool to see my nephews have never had a meal like that. I've never really had a meal like that,
So
and
you took everybody out.
my aunt, my uncle, my mom, my dad, everybody's there. And that was my first meal. And then my first stop at a CrossFit gym was actually at the Phoenix. Went down there, Nicole Gordon was coaching. And then I went over to Decimate and been there ever since. Well, and with the Phoenix ever since. I started volunteering for the Phoenix immediately and then started coaching at Decimate right away.
What about you? What was your first meal?
So I was in a halfway house, and I couldn't leave. And if you leave, you only have 3-hour passes, and you have to wait till level 2. So I got to DoorDash, which I wasn't able to figure out yet. So somebody else was like, hey, I'm going to buy you whatever you want. And I was like, I really don't know what there is out here.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, Papa Do's has good calzones. You want one of those? And I was like, yeah, sure. So it was a Papa Do's calzone.
Hey, still better than...
Tasted like a 7-course meal as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the same thing. It hit my tongue, and I was like, this is not a soup or a honey bun, and it was amazing.
Is that just you can't mimic that?
No.
I'll tell you
now-
though, when I
now
stopped
I'm-
on the way home from Sterling,
Yeah.
I stopped at a gas station to get water. And I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I thought I'll just
The
go in
water's
and grab like a
terrible.
bottle of water, right?
Wait,
prison.
Yeah.
you're overwhelmed by the taste of the
No,
water?
I was overwhelmed by, two things.
Yeah, that-
the variety of water that the Conoco had.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then, the taste of it. It was just pure. It just tasted like I've been drinking. I remember my very first day at Lyman, and I grabbed my drink. I've been in transport all day, and I was like, man, and I take a sip of the water, and it's the most disgusting water of my life. And I just kind of slumped over
You're
the
like, I gotta
sink,
drink
and my
this for
celly, Alex, do you know Alex Lang? This
No.
dude's like, you all right, man? And I was like, man, I have to spend the next 60 years of my life drinking this disgusting water.
Yeah.
And he was like, man.
Oh, I know Alex. Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
life's way, A-Train.
Yeah.
He's all, life's way worse than that water. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't think it is. But yeah, I was overwhelmed by the variety, and I was just like, man, so I bought one. And then the next time I went in to buy water, I actually bought like a tonic water. And I had no idea.
accident.
Yeah. And I cracked it, started drinking. I was like, what the? And it was weird. But everything is overwhelming. This watch talking to me, my phone.
Are you still finding things? I mean, you've been out a few years now.
Yeah, I mean,
Are
you can ask any one of these guys. Like, I get overwhelmed just trying to figure out how to like download a link to get into Vendor Village.
I couldn't put gas in my car. Yeah, I got so frustrated. I called Michelle because it kept asking me if I wanted to print a receipt, and there was the last person's gas up on the thing, and I was like, I'm not gonna pay for the last person's gas. Why is it asking me for a receipt before I paid? And so like, I was like legitimately having a mental breakdown trying to put gas in my car. Whereas some things came easy, because Michelle's like, how the could you not put gas in your car, but you could figure out all this crazy stuff that I haven't figured out in the last whatever years, right? And I was like,
Figured out that honey filter on Instagram.
That honey filter, yeah. He does use all the filters. Not so much anymore.
Before we leave, how did you meet your lovely wife? Because that was fast. You got, I mean, now it's been like a year and a half you've been out, but
yeah, so through fitness,
Yeah?
being able to coach and work at gyms
she was a member.
at Orange Theory.
You broke the rules at Orange Theory.
Yep.
But at least you converted her to CrossFit.
I did, yes. I converted her to CrossFit. Yeah.
She won her very first CrossFit comp.
Yeah, she got podiumed on the Guardian
Look at
Games.
you.
Yeah.
So, what's that like? You're dating someone. At what point is she like, well, you got these prison tattoos. Tell me about where you've been.
Yeah, I was immediately open and honest.
Yeah?
So it wasn't like it probably actually made me look a little bit more, I don't know,
Thirsty.
thirsty. There you go.
Oh, thirst trap Taylor over here.
And I'm fresh out of prison.
Fresh out of prison. Yep.
And you were just like, give me that Taylor. She was,
Oh, yeah.
and now look at you married. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Their wedding was actually really cool. It was like full circle, just, being in prison with Taylor.
Well, all the guys I saw were guys that but Tevin was there.
Tevin, like, look, all of us, Pat.
Yeah.
You did have a pretty good
We
wedding
had
party.
a fit. I had fit groomsmen. Like if there was a competition
you
of
did a
groomsmen,
workout?
we
Right.
did a morning workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy, too.
It was brutal. Yeah.
And good wedding. Feel good.
It was an amazing wedding. Usually everybody's advice was, look, things are going to go wrong. It's okay.
Relax. Yeah.
Nothing went wrong.
I mean, the power went out on the whole block.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah.
it was like 100
That's
degrees.
Taylor's attitude,
I know.
though, right? Like,
It's like, hey.
great. There's no music.
And I'm
no
like,
food.
it's upstairs in a vaulted ceiling. It's going to be hot. But
No, this is what
Taylor's-
I said. I said things always work out
Things
for me.
always
I said
work
the
out.
power is going to come right back on when we need
and
it.
did
Yeah,
it?
and it did. Yeah.
20 minutes before the ceremony started, it came right back on.
Air conditioning
Nobody was
kicked
tripping.
on. No
Yeah.
one was tripping.
Yep.
And you're celebrating your honeymoon here at the games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Josh was so gracious. We did a Zoom meeting with Josh.
Yeah.
It's really cool to work with Josh because of he's the chairman of the board for the Phoenix, right? So he's my boss, basically. And then with the CrossFit nonprofit space, he's my boss for RF2. So we hit him up and we're like, hey, come in here, and then we're gonna get 4 tickets. And
Well, we're going to get 3 tickets.
3 tickets.
Me, you, and Trev. And
Yeah.
then I was like, by the way, I'm getting married.
I got married yesterday.
Yeah, I'm getting married like the day after
And
the games, and he's
so,
like, bring her.
Bring
we
her.
got it.
And so, yeah, we're really glad that Michelle's along. And she's a great ambassador. She teaches us all the TikTok tricks. And
Yeah. I'm good with the social media because she has like 60,000 followers on TikTok. To you, that's probably not a lot, but to my 100 followers, that's a lot.
Hey,
Yeah.
you just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
level 3 next.
Level 3, it has to be before October, and I already have the paperwork in, so, dude, I'm going to get it.
I'm doing L2 on August 24th.
Where are you doing it?
Decimate. If I
gonna
can't
do
do
that, Michael?
decimates, there's one in Boulder
Okay.
because Courtney's hitting me up about the numbers.
Are you doing the Decimate L2?
I didn't know. Now I'll see if I'm
So
on
me
It's going to
and
be
Trevor.
Trevor, Shar.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bunch of
It's going to be a
RF2
lot
guys.
of us, yeah. And if we
August
can't get into
Decimate?
Decimate, we're going to go to Boulders.
Cool.
Backup
Okay.
contingency
I'll
plan.
definitely see
I'll
what
be there.
I don't have
I'll be
anything
working
scheduled,
it
but
out.
hopefully I will.
And I'll come work out with you guys for
Yeah,
sure.
that's cool. Psyched. And then you're gonna. I told Taylor at the level 1, he'll be the first person from prison to seminar staff.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So level 2, 3, 4 coming.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
I got my
What's
Yep.
that?
My certified personal trainer's license as well.
Yeah.
So kind of just continuing to delve into fitness because it was what I needed to get the job where I got, but still on that path.
Actually, I want to ask you. So you're the fittest in prison, essentially. When I'm there, you were. I mean, when we were there, you were.
Yeah, we did a
Cruiser,
fittest in prison, but Cruiser definitely beat me. I came in third in the Dromos competition, which was our
We're about
games.
to do another one right now. All facilities competing. Ben Bergeron's programming it.
I'll say I'm top 3.
But was like, were you gonna get out and be like, I'm going to the games?
I don't think so, because the moment I got out, I realized all that it took to be able to get there, as well as just like lifestyle choices.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I didn't have that ability.
Were you kind of like, didn't know what you didn't know?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm really good at this. When I get out, I'm going to the games.
Kind of. I kind of had an open blank slate or canvas. I said, whatever comes my way, I'll paint that picture with whatever brushes were given to me. And so it wasn't in my cards this time.
How old are you now?
I'm 31.
All right, we got a master's run in you.
I'm going to make
master's
my
run.
move
There
in
you
the
go.
60s and up.
He's only 40.
I'm almost 45. And actually, I'll be the youngest in my division this year, so that'll be cool.
Nice.
And at the 60, you just have to stay injury-free.
Well, here's the deal. I'm too stupid to quit. So I'm going to go. All these other people will start falling off, and I'll just make my move.
You know who else said that? Every other 45-year-old on the planet, including when I was like, I'll outlast these guys, and now the same guys
are still
now
doing
at
it.
masters level. Yeah,
they're killing it. Yeah.
But I think by the time you get to 60, you just have to stay healthy. Showing up is key.
Look, I'm there every day. I work out with a 28-year-old who doesn't believe in herself, but she's great, and she drives me.
She's winning all the comps in
She's
Colorado.
won the Turkey Challenge. She won the Purple. Her name's Ash Slovic, and she won the Purple Mountain Throwdown, the Turkey Challenge. She just went and did that reps ahead and against the games athletes, beat that girl in the second round.
Wow.
And
you're working out with her
every day. She's coached at
You
at
might
my gym.
accidentally get fit.
I'm accidentally get fit.
I think it's already happened.
Yeah.
It's
But I
happening.
want you to get that level 3 more importantly, and I want you to get that level
I'm going
2.
to, because my goal is also level 4, and one day seminar staff inside prison would be something I could do.
That'd be cool.
I honestly know that I know the lectures through and through, and
You've seen them enough times.
dude, I've lived them.
How's Cruiser doing?
He's doing good.
He's doing good, yeah.
We just talked to him the other night. He's doing great. It seems like our phones are just ringing nonstop because they all know we're here.
Yeah, they all know we're here, so
How
they're
are they calling
blowing
you?
us up.
We're just on their phone.
They actually, yeah.
I think don't worry about it, I think. You know,
they don't got
No,
cell
it's not
phones
like
in
that.
there.
Yeah.
It's legit.
They actually have tablets where they can call from now at the facility.
Oh, really?
Which is nice
Yeah.
because they can do it in their room.
They can actually
Yeah.
listen to podcasts too.
Yeah.
Can they really?
I wonder if, we got to figure out if this is available.
We should send it to Securus and see if they'll put your podcast
I
on
sent
there.
you guys the book after I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I had a member in New York, went to prison in Oklahoma. He's like driving drugs, right? And I hadn't heard from him. I was like, we were all like, has anyone seen Kwame? Like, we had no idea. And like 2 years later, I get this like text, random number. He's like, yo, it's Kwame. Can you send me a workout? I'm like, where are you? He's like, in prison.
Oh,
yeah.
Right? And it wasn't his first time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and then my second question was like, how do you have a phone? He was like, don't worry about it. Do you have a workout?
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Just send the workout, man.
And then it was be like every night, what's a good workout? I was like, what equipment do you have?
Yeah.
You know, but it would always, and then he
That's
got
cool.
out, came back. It was great to see him. But this has been awesome catching up.
Well, Jason, thank you so much, man.
We all live
Yeah.
close to each other.
We do.
I know
Let's
my
go do
excuse
something.
is we were going to, 2 kids.
2 kids. It's
Take
hard.
your time with this.
Yeah.
31. You got 9 years to have. No rush, Michelle. Pat knows my kids. No rush. It's chaos. I know, it's hard. It's hard. So I'm just pumped for you guys. It's been really great. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
thank
Thank
you,
you
man.
so much.
I
We
appreciate
appreciate all
it.
the support.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.